Holy cow. Well, shoot. The protests that are going on, which are still going on, it's an endless thing. It doesn't help that you have journalists or former journalists working everybody up into a frenzy. Because it really doesn't take much to work people up into a frenzy. It's actually pretty easy to do to get people worked up over nothing or over something. So it's pretty easy to get people worked up. Now, I bet CNN's glad that Don Lemon is not with them anymore. I thought he was still employed by CNN, but then I forgot something that happened a few years ago, 2023. He was fired because of hatred or prejudice towards women. I can't say the word; it's too hard of a word to actually say. So CNN had fired him back in 2023. As Don Lemon said, it came out of nowhere. Not really. If you're showing a lot of hatred and prejudice towards women, of course, you're going to get fired. So I bet CNN is glad at this point. They already have a bad reputation as it is anyway. I mean, who actually watches CNN? The left. They're the ones that only really watch it. So bet CNN's glad that he's not employed, that Don Lennon, whatever, is not employed by CNN anymore. Because he's been going on these weird crusades that seems to be a common thread because people are so worked up. That's why I was saying, it doesn't take a lot to work people up, to get them into a frenzy. I mean, especially if you have somebody like Don here, Don Lemon, whatever his name is, who's very big on, I know, there is people that actually follow him, if you can believe that. He's big on Twitter, there for a while in 2024. He had his own YouTube channel, and I know it's hard to believe. But so, when you have a platform and you're biggest name as this idiot, it ain't hard to get people to the masses because they've been following this guy for 30 years. So it really isn't hard to get your word out there. Now listen, before I get into this, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. It is in your constitutional right to do it because of freedom of speech and all that. There's nothing wrong with putting your feelings out there, how you really think towards a situation. There's nothing wrong with doing a Facebook post or a Facebook live stream. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If you're going to do that on YouTube, you can do that on X, Twitter. So there's nothing wrong in and of that, of voicing your opinions. Freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech. They're not going to arrest anybody for saying what they feel on freedom of speech. So there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it. It's part of human nature. Something pisses you off, so you want to voice your opinions on it. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. So with Don Lemon doing that, there's nothing wrong with that part of it, because that is the constitutional right and freedom of speech. But here's the but with it. You can't go intentionally starting shit on purpose to get your point across. It's unconstitutional to start shit like he was doing. He was going to one of the worst places probably to start a riot or a protest or whatever. It's one of the worst places to do it when it's actually one of the places that people want to get away from the everyday life that's going on, because people have a lot of stress and they want to go to church to worship the Lord. Now, I'm not going to try to, I don't like to get too religious on my channel. I have never been like that, and I never will be like that. So I don't want to get into the religious side of this. I just stay far away from that as I can because I always have. But him going into a church and doing a live broadcast on, I think it was Twitter, doing a live broadcast and intentionally starting a riot is probably one of the worst things you can do. He might as well just had a gun and start doing it because he might as well, because he was already trying to instigate a riot, which was pretty much what he was doing while a church. And it's one thing, there was service going on. That's another thing. There was service going on. You can't interrupt while a service is ongoing. It's one of the worst things you can do because they're there to just get away from everyday life. They're there to worship, maybe to hang out with their friends, maybe hang out with their colleagues, and maybe learn some scriptures from the Bible. So it almost sounds like, this is just me saying this, but it almost sounds like he was an atheist going into a church. I know he was trying to do it for ICE. I know he's trying to protest the ICE shit, just like everybody it seems like the free world's doing that. It seems like it's the popular thing to do nowadays.
Where does it end, though? If they're doing that, are they going to interrupt workplaces? Are they going to go in the middle of someone's jobs?
Yeah, good point. Where does this end? So moving forward here to the story here, he gets arrested, and of course, he can't understand why he was arrested. No, he can't understand why he was arrested. So then we have the dumbass lawyer. Yes. These people always got to hire a lawyer, especially the rich fuckers. They always got to hire a lawyer, and they usually have the best lawyer that money can buy, and they always have them in their phone as a contact. That's the way it always is. Because then, so as soon as they get into trouble, they contact their best lawyer that money can buy and go, hey, I'm in trouble, bail me out once again, so, I can keep doing this shit. So, of course he contacts his lawyer, and I quote, I know, just a cow, just read that. I know, it's idiotic. Here's the statement from the lawyer. Are you ready?
Oh boy.
Probably not. The lawyer said, here's the quote, constitutional protected work. What's his constitutional protected work? He's not even, never mind. In Minnesota was no different than what he has always done. So what he is doing is no different than what he did when he was employed by CNN for 17 years. He's been a journalist for 30 years. Maybe this guy forgot why he got into journalism. What's that called? Uncovering truth? How was this going to be uncovering truth when he's in a church at service trying to start a riot in the middle of a church and working everybody up into a frenzy? I know what's going to happen because he hired the best best lawyer his money could buy. Here's what's going to happen. You know how much jail time he's going to receive? Probably 0 days. Probably none. He's going to get right out of jail and he's going to do it again because these idiots never seem to learn. It is in your I will agree with the lawyer. It is in your constitutional rights to do stuff within the realms of the law. You cannot go into places of worship and intentionally start a riot. If he wants to do this, just do it in front of a fucking courthouse.
If he wants to do that, why don't we go to some of these foreign countries that don't believe in...
Yeah, just go do it there. Just do it in a foreign country. Do it in front of a courthouse. I don't know. Do it in a sewer. Do it anywhere else but in a place of worship is off limits. It's completely off limits. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard anybody actually doing, and that says a lot. And he'll get out of jail, and he'll probably go on some random rants on X, Twitter, or if he ain't been banned from YouTube, he'll probably do it there too. The people that follow him will continue to follow him. That's the way it always is. And on the people that do follow him will say, well, this is wrong. This was against his constitutional rights.
Well, not really.
I love how that is brought up.
I disagree when
It's so great when they say it's against my constitutional rights. No, there's nothing, like I was saying earlier, there's nothing wrong with speaking your mind. There's nothing wrong with
There's
that.
a time and a place for it.
But there's a time and a
A
place
church
for it.
service isn't that.
Church service isn't that. That's the wrong place to do it. It clearly is. And of course, I forgot to mention the most important part of this. I forgot to mention this. This is, of course, it's in Minneapolis, where all the ICE protests seem to be happening.
That's
so,
not
of course,
random.
it's right in the middle of, I hate to say a war zone, but it pretty much is a war zone at this point. So, of course, it wasn't random what he did. That was probably one of the most well planned out things he did. But streaming it live, that's pretty stupid. I remember here a few years ago, there was somebody on Facebook or something like that. They live streamed them beating up somebody, and they ended up getting out of trouble for it. He won't get in trouble for it because he'll be right back on the streets because of the live streaming, and he'll be right back on the street, and he'll probably be in instigating against ICE next. That will probably be his next thing. He'll probably live stream that too, and people go, well, that was unconstitutional, or was very constitutional what he did. And you know what? I'm just glad that he's not employed by CNN. They already got a bad reputation. They don't need it more with this idiot. And it's... I think I'm done with my rant. I don't really have anything else to really add to this than just him being an utter buffoon. Me and Mom are saying that's all for now.
That's all for now.